And do you think that your way to assess abilities, it changed when ABA entered to your life? Because when I talk with some students of ours, and they are SLPs, and they have their own instruments and way of evaluating the kid, of assessing, what they tell me is that, oh, I was not so precise in the way that I use it to assess a kid. I didn't have so many measures on mans, tacts, interverbals. I didn't have this way of looking to language. This is something that it's current when I talk to them, and they give me this perspective.
I agree. That is one other thing in terms of, like I was talking about, like when Johnny didn't generalize that red apple to a green apple, we'll say, is I did not understand that distinct difference between a man tact and interverbal either. And the echoic I got because I was a speech pathologist. We just call it verbal imitation instead. And we did, speech pathology, we have lots of terms, the request and the comment and answering questions and so on and so forth. And so it gave it new names. So that was okay. I mean, I was okay with the vocabulary, but I did not look at vocabulary or language in that way. I did think that if Johnny could label a cookie, he should be able to ask for a cookie, and he really should be able to answer, what is something round that's brown and has white and stuffing inside that's called an Oreo. It's a cookie. I really did believe that before behavior analysis, before verbal behavior. But by listening to so much and reading so much, I realized like that was really the biggest aha moment for me, was teaching language to kids. So assessment purposes, I would be stuck in a rut where I would give the same tests. I would give the Peabody, the expressive vocab, the Castle, the self, the preschool language scale. And many of my students could not take those tests because they did not have the skills to even want to sit down to take the test, nor did they have the language to take the test. So you couldn't really use standardized measure. We didn't have a lot of criterion measured assessments to utilize with children with developmental disabilities. And so a lot of my reports for kids that could not take standardized tests before, say, the VB-MAP or the ABLES or the Essentials for Daily Living, all that kind, or EFL, not the Essential for Living, the Essentials for Living. Yeah.
Lots of acronyms. We get crazy.
Yes,
I don't know
just
how
love them.
We do that.
Before that, it was really an observation report. So I would just take typical language milestones, Brown's development or typical language development right off the ASH website and say, okay, she looked at me, she threw a ball, she was able to get a ball when I said a ball. So I would get really informal measures on the student and make a report based on that. Yes, I personally still use standardized measures whenever I can, but I do use not so much the ABLES are anymore, but the VB-MAP, but I will use both. But most of the children that I'm working with now are individuals who can take standardized tests. I have two kids that I would have to, if I was assessing again, would be reassessed with the VB-MAP.